Hey everybody, many of you by now know that Congress has passed a bill that only allots $1.4 million for Trump's wall instead of the $5.7 billion that Trump wanted. This covers only about 55 miles of the wall, as you guys know it. And you probably also know, or have heard, if you hadn't, here's the news, that Trump plans, and of course he's been touting this for 4 or 5 weeks now, leading up to this, that he would declare a national emergency to procure the funding for the wall if Congress did not come through with his demands. Now, let it be known that at least 35 presidents in the past have declared at least 58 states of emergency over the years, and the practice usually involves the current president's renewing of the states of emergencies from the earlier presidents. It's kind of an ongoing thing that has happened generally, keeping them active. So we're currently in, I don't know the exact number, but it could be as many as 58 current states of emergencies that we're still technically under, okay? So what the president or any president does to act on that then remains, to be seen what it is their goal is and what they're trying to achieve. Now, despite how national emergency sounds, there is no broadly agreed upon term of emergency that's actually required for a president to make this declaration, any president. Of course, with what President Trump is doing and declaring this state of emergency to get this border wall funding, he's going to be met with a challenge. The Democrats are going to challenge him legally. There's no doubt about it. They're going to lock this thing up in courts, I'm sure, for the remainder of his term and possibly second term, depending on if he gets reelected or not. So they're going to do their best to squash this thing. By signing the national emergency, Trump hopes to create a pool of around $8 billion to see his border barriers put in place and put to use. Now, I want you to check this out. Check this video out real quick.
Breaking news from Washington, looking live at the White House, where President Trump will sign the border deal to keep the government open this morning, but also declare a national emergency, an attempt to bypass Congress so he can get funds for his border wall.
The move already sparking fierce backlash, not just from Democrats, but from some in the president's own party. Our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl, has the very latest. John, this is setting a stage for a very nasty showdown between the White House and Congress.
A showdown with Congress and, Cecilia, a showdown with the courts. This morning, the president plans to announce an end round around Congress, spending billions more on his border wall than Congress has approved. This morning, President Trump plans to declare a national emergency as a way to get billions more in funding for his border wall.
And it's a big wall. It's a strong wall. You're going to have to be in extremely good shape to get over this one. They would be able to climb Mount Everest a lot easier, I think.
It's a highly controversial move, sure to be challenged in court, but one the president has been telegraphing for weeks.
We're either going to have a win or I will declare a national emergency.
But a win he didn't get. Congress approving only a fraction of what he wanted for the wall.
They did a spectacular job.
Overnight, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and House Democrats celebrated the passage of the 1,100-page funding bill, averting another shutdown.
Neither Democrats or Republicans got everything you wanted.
ABC News has learned the president will declare his plans to spend a total of $8 billion on the wall, even more than he had asked for, in part by declaring the national emergency and shifting billions of dollars from the Pentagon's budget. Democrats say that would be an abuse of power and set a dangerous new precedent.
It's not an emergency, what's happening at the border. It's a humanitarian challenge to us. The president has tried to sell a bill of goods to America. The president is doing an end run about Congress, about the power of the purse.
ABC News has learned that the Justice Department has warned the White House that the president's national emergency declaration would almost certainly be blocked, at least on a temporary basis, by the courts. White House officials, however, tell me they are confident that they would ultimately win this on appeal.
Okay, so that's a little rundown of basically what I was just telling you about. Now, something else I'm about to show you, and this is the Democrats, namely House Speaker Pelosi, basically opening up the playbook and showing you the plan, the future game plan. All right? So check this one out.
Madam Speaker.
Yes, ma'am.
The president just said that he will declare a national emergency when he signs this bill. Do you still plan to file a legal challenge if and when he does that? And how quickly would you do
Did
that?
I ever say I was filing a legal challenge?
You said Democrats
I
would
may.
challenge it.
That's an option, and we'll review our options. But it's important to note that when the president declares this emergency, first of all, it's not an emergency, what's happening at the border. It's a humanitarian challenge to us. The president has tried to sell a bill of goods to American people. But putting that aside, just in terms of the president making an end run around Congress, here he said, let us respect what the committee will do, and then walks away from it. But in any event, the president is doing an end run about Congress, about the power of the purse. You've heard me say over and over again, Article 1, the legislative branch, the power of the purse, the power to declare war, many other powers listed in the Constitution, and, of course, the responsibility to have oversight. So the president is doing an end run around that. We will review our options. We'll be prepared to respond appropriately to it. I know the Republicans have some unease about it, no matter what they say, because if the president can declare an emergency on something that he has created as an emergency, an illusion that he wants to convey, just think of what a president with different values can present to the American people. You want to talk about a national emergency? Let's talk about today, the one-year anniversary of another manifestation of the epidemic of gun violence in America. That's a national emergency. Why don't you declare that emergency, Mr. President? I wish you would. But a Democratic president can do that. Democratic president can declare emergencies as well. So the precedent that the president is setting here is something that should be met with great unease and dismay by the Republicans. And of course, we will respond accordingly when we review our options. First, we have to see what the president actually says.
Speaker Pelosi.
Yes.
Okay. What do you think of that? Nancy Pelosi, she's openly telling us the Democratic playbook, as if we didn't already know that they want to go after our guns. But did you hear what she said? She said, oh, he's setting a precedent, you know, and she notes that it's a dangerous one for Republicans. I would agree on the one hand, but Democrats have always had this power before, but she's almost threatening that we will go this route going forward. National emergency again about gun violence, and no telling what that could bring. This should not be considered, this should be considered not a threat, but should be considered for sure a promise from the Democrats. That's how I took it. The Democrats, they already go after our guns in so many forms and ways, and they try to anyway. They're making attempts to do that. Registration will ultimately lead to confiscation. There's no doubt in my mind about that. That's what they want. They get the backing of NATO and the UN. That's what they all want. It's a one world order, one world government, new world order that they're trying to go after here. And that means there's no nationalism, and that means there shouldn't be any guns in the hands of any civilians, according to them. That the peacekeepers will be wearing blue hats and the rest of us are subservient slaves. The only caveat is if this country is even still intact by the time a Democrat takes office and could potentially enact such a national emergency, okay? So it's getting closer by the minute, guys. Getting closer and closer by the minute. It's all culminating and coming together, and this is where we are now. Just wanted to share this with you. Thank you so much. Real World Prepper out.